Hey,
What's
it's the
up?
Tribe Guys, and today we're going to be talking about structuring your content. Because if you have a community, a membership, like a community based business relies on fresh content in order to get paid every month, typically. But we're more on the belief that it's more important to get results than it is to give fresh content. Most people are so caught up in what do I need to produce every month in order to keep people paying. But we know that people pay for the promise and they stay for the community. So we're going to show you how to structure your content in a way that actually gets people to want to pay and stay for life without always having to be on that content flywheel, or at least make it sustainable.
Yeah, it's kind of how we get what we call results on repeat and testimonials on autopilot, right? And so, really going to show you how content is only half the game and it is the least important half of it. And then how we structure paid communities, whether it's a coach and they want to take their one on one into a more streamlined model. Fitness obviously works really well. We've done it so many times where it's still obviously very important about the content, but we're going to show you how we structure it so that it becomes easy and you don't have to constantly just keep putting in more content and hope that they stay.
Yeah. So we always say you can't build a strong community with like just content, right? Like we are in the results business. So good content is only going to get you 50% of the way there. I mean, you do need to have good content because you do need to get people results and have something worth sharing. But if you're building a community, you already have that box checked. You already have something worth sharing. But that's not enough because people suck at doing what's good for them. So good content is only half of the strategy to get results. Results bring you testimonials and social proof and referrals. They help you grow your business from the inside out. So we are in the results business, and good content is not enough to get somebody to actually do what they signed up to do and achieve. We need to drag them into the finish line and help them do the things that we know they need to do, get the result they signed up for.
So that's
So
very much in the model where we're going. Maybe we can get this closer. Okay, right? We're talking about here. This is where the overlap is of the who are we together, right? So Sago would talk about Hell Island versus Heaven Island. We'd call this the promised land, right? But everything in marketing is about move them away from pain and towards pleasure, right? People will whip out their credit card to solve a problem that they're in pain about, right? With Funk, it was very much he was trying to get people in terms of like boost your testosterone and all these things will happen. And it's like nobody really knew or cared, right? So we're just like, okay, they look in the mirror and they hate the belly fat that's looking back at them. They're out of breath tying their shoes. These are the problems that people will pay for because they're in your face every day, right? And then, of course, we got to figure out what is that promise that we're selling them. And so it's kind of like on a two-part. It's how do we get them at least started on it, remove 20 pounds of belly fat. But then it's a big picture right here we call the 4 minute mile in terms of like what is that huge thing that we're going to achieve once we're in. But what we're going to be talking about today is this piece right here, which is how do we get there? What is the content inside of our community, inside of our school, inside of our Kajabi, inside of our, right? Like this is kind of the most important part. You can't start this, you can't build this if you have no idea what to film, what to write, what pieces of content, where's it going to go, how is it going to get structured, right? And so with 90 Day Tribe, now that we're helping 5 people build this at the same time, we realized this is one of the most important pieces that people get stuck on. And this is how it came up this week is because we talked about how with Funk, first thing we did was we wanted 12 months of retention. And so we built 12 months of programming. Makes sense, right? But Daraj is helping indie artists get their music licensed to film and TV. And he's like, if I make it a year, like it's going to take them a year to make any money and get them pitching things. He's like, really, it's only a 90-day program of like what they need to know. And so he was really concerned about how if it's a 90-day thing of what they need to know, aren't they going to leave right after they know all of the things? Like, can't they just join, understand everything, and then cancel and leave? And it's like, they could, but we're not in this game for what they need to know. Like, most things you can just find on YouTube. You can find on, ChatGPT will find a bunch of answers. Like, we are not in the knowledge game anymore. Google came out, we were in the information age. Information's easy. We are in the experience age. We need to help people actually achieve something. We're in the results game.
transformation over information. So this is not just information, but information and transformation. What do you need to know and what do you need to do to get them from here to here? And the better this is, the more emotion they have between these 2 points, the faster that credit card comes out and the more emotion they have to actually drive the motivation to take action. So it really comes down to what's in the middle. And it really depends on what are we promising. So with Funk, we wanted 12 months because we wanted 12 months retention, right? But if we said it's going to take 12 months to lose X amount of pounds, then people aren't likely to pull out their credit card because they're like, that's a lot of work, that's a lot of time, and I don't want to, and money, I don't want to give you any of those things. I just want some fat loss. So even though we have 12 months, the promise is on month 1. So we make this milestone number 1, and we can look at, okay, so if people are losing 7 to 20 pounds in their first month, then they can say, okay, 7 pounds, 30 days, $1 trial. That's simple math. That's easy for me to say yes to. And then they just need to get started. And so it's what do they need to do over and over along the way until they get the result. So we look at, okay, what do they need to know and what do they need to do? So most people focus on what do they need to know, expecting them to then know what to do. But we look at it as a 2-prong because one part is information, one part is transformation. So with Funk, then he's got 4 pillars because if they focus on working out in a way that boosts testosterone, eating in a way that boosts testosterone, mindset in a way that makes them want to continue doing these actions, and recovery so they can continue doing these actions, then eventually they're going to increase their testosterone and lose 7 to 20 pounds by their first month. So we're not talking about testosterone at the beginning. We start talking about it once they've entered because now they're ready to soak up this new path, right? Before it was just a certain workout style for men over 40. They just know belly fat. But once they're in, then we say testosterone is the path. So we say you need to understand these things. You need to understand what style of fitness. You need to understand what foods we eat and don't eat. Understand what mindset really means, what recovery really means. But then it comes down into the rituals. So each one of these comes with their own set of rituals. So getting people to work out and eat healthy is really hard. So we need to make them want to do that. And so by turning borderline mundane and meaningless actions into a ritual, then it gives meaning behind these actions. And then by building it behind a community, then it gives purpose and it becomes part of like an us versus them. It's not just I work out because I want to lose weight. It's we're all working out this style on this day, doing the same things towards this greater mission because that's what people like us do, right? So if we just give them information, they're not likely to take any action because people don't want information. But if we make it part of a collective to say, we are people like this who want something like this, we could say in this timeline specifically, then this is what it takes. And then now there's purpose and meaning behind each of these actions. And so when the rituals are a piece of the overall transformation journey, then it just makes sense and it makes people actually want to take action. But what happens after month 1? Are they going to cancel? Well, we want them for 12 months. So it's what does that content look like? Do we need brand new workouts, nutrition, mindset, and recovery? Sometimes, but not really, because we can have there is a unique fitness component to it each month because nobody wants to do the same things over and over. People are built for novelty, but the nutrition is going to be the same. The mindset's going to be the same. The recovery is going to be similar. Maybe he switches that up too. But it's really, we duplicate this entire process 11 more times in order to get the greater transformation. So instead of 7 to 20 pounds, now we're talking alpha zone. So this becomes what we call a frame of orientation. You say, here's who we are, here's where we're going, and here's how to get there. And that becomes the mental map that tells somebody, okay, I have the plan and the motivation to actually move me forward. Whereas most people just say, welcome to the community, here's some rules, here's like a getting started step. And then it's like, hopefully You have enough motivation to continue to take action. Hopefully, you like the people in the community enough to stick around. And we know both of those things aren't true, so they're likely to leave. So we want to just focus on what is that first milestone? What is that transformation journey to get there? What do they need to know? What do they need to do? And then you repeat the process. Each time, then like Funk's workouts get a little more intense because that's part of the indoctrination sequence into becoming that over 40 alpha. And maybe the recovery changes too, but really it's just taking that one process and repeating it. So it's like a cyclical transformation journey. It's linear to them, but it's cyclical to us because it's just the same four things repeated slightly different. As long as they know where they're going. So that's why we have a clear 12-month over 40 alpha. So it's not just what they can achieve, which we also define by body fat percentage, testosterone score, etc. But they achieve this when they hit 12 months. So they always have a reason to keep moving forward.
Yeah, and so a big part of starting out is just looking at what are these for you, right? What are your content pillars? What are the 4 or 3? We like the rules of 3s, but 4 is also very clean. Just don't do too many. Don't do 7, right? That's just too much for the brain. And so just try to figure out if you had to condense everything that you need them to know and do, how do you bucket into those things, right? For us, it's very much like attraction is a big piece because you have to call people into your tribe, right? So we talk about like the psychology pieces of attracting the right people. That's a huge pillar for us. But then also indoctrination, right? How do you indoctrinate them into this new idea, into this methodology, into what we're doing? That is a huge piece that most people aren't really doing. And then from there, it's how do you intensify, right? How do we take this over 40 alpha? How do we take this, tribe leader? How do we take that new identity and continually intensify it so that they do become, because we know that if you change their identity, you can change their behavior. And this whole thing is a map for changing human behavior because this person, if they're right here, they don't have the tools, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the means to be this person, or else they would already be this person, right? So that's why they're signing up for your program so that they can be this person. And so invite, indoc, intensify is basically like the pillars for us to becoming a tribe leader. And so if you can just take the buckets and figuring out your content pillars, then from there you can break it down into, okay, for this pillar, what do they need to know, right? And then we really like to look at it from a linear journey. Do they need to know everything right up front? Probably not. What do they need to do just to get started, right? There's that famous commitment curve where they're like, you just need people to do this and then just do a little bit more and do a little bit more and do a little bit more, right? Until they're like proper committed. There's that law of ownership. Once you're, maybe right here, you've done enough that you're bought in. Like it's really hard for you to cancel and shut down your Facebook account because of all the friends that you have, all of the posts that you have, all of the things that you've put onto it. You're not going to remove your Instagram feed because of like how much time you've curated to create that. You have ownership. And so we're trying to create that with the products that we do as well by just saying, what do they need to know and do? 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 And just keep increasing it, right? So find what your content pillars are, find what they need to know and do at each stage, and then ultimately, this is probably 1 month or maybe 90 days, right? Like with Daraj and his music, this is a 90-day thing. Here's the things they need to do. How do we make music? How do we pitch it? How do we, whatever. He's got like his 3 steps. And from there, it's like, okay, here's what you need to know about making this kind of music. Here's what you need to know about pitching and finding the right people to pitch to. But here's the things you need to do, right? You need to be making music. You need to be pitching. And so this is probably a 90-day thing, but then this can just be repeated a second time, a third time, a fourth time, until they become this kind of person who's making 6 figures a year from their music without a social media following, without being on stages, without people pleasing.
Yeah, so people think that I need to give fresh stuff up here all the time. But if you can get them doing fresh stuff down here, then that's the recurring energy that you need. It's not always fresh content. People don't want content. They don't want more stuff. They don't want more coaching calls. They don't want more time spent. They want results, and they do want to feel like they belong. So rituals are the easiest way to accomplish both of those things because they move them closer to the result they want. They reinforce the group identity, which is the source of our behavior, is our identity. So as long as they're performing rituals every day, every week, whatever the cadence is, then that's giving fresh content and a reason to stay in the community. And the more people post themselves doing something, the more other people see people like them doing the same things, and mirror neurons increase subconscious connection between each other. So they pay for the promise and they stay for the community because these are people like them on their way to achieve something that we all want. So this is like the recipe for belonging. But someone like Daraj, who's like, I want long-term retention, but I don't know how to make it a win-win. So I'm not producing a lot of content. They're not staying for no reason. I want results and I want retention. We're like, you are good here with your content, right? That's all they need to know. And maybe they can learn it in a week or 90 days. That doesn't mean they're going to cancel because the magic is in us doing the things. So, for starts, these people don't know what it takes to make 100K from their music by getting like licensing deals through movies, TV shows. That's his new opportunity. Don't go like make content as an artist to be on stage. Do it from the studio, stay home, get paid, license your music. And so they can learn that pretty quick and then they can leave. But the magic is in what are we doing together? So we were saying your content is like valuable. It's got a price tag behind it, but the real value is in results. So as long as you have people showing up and doing the things, but the thing is they don't know what those things are because they've never been whatever his identity is, like let's call it a successful licensing lyricist or whatever, then they don't know what it takes to be that because they've never been that, which is why they're signing up in the first place because they want the result, but they don't know what it takes. Just by learning content doesn't mean I know what it takes. We've been tribe builders for the last couple of years, but now we're tribe leaders teaching this to other people. We didn't know what it took to be a tribe leader because we've only been tribe builders. So we needed to learn and understand and implement the systems for ourselves to understand what it means to be a tribe leader in order to teach our tribe leaders what they need to do on an ongoing basis to invite, indoctrinate, and intensify. So for Daraj, then it's like by creating the systems of this is what we do together on an ongoing basis to hit this financial result, then that's where the results come from. That's where the retention comes from. That's where the magic comes from. Because just because they have the content doesn't mean they're going to do it because people suck at doing what's good for them. Changing human behavior is the best thing you can do for your customers. They want the result. They paid you for a result. They're just in their own way because their current identity is operating, not their new identity. Because they don't know what it means to be this, and they don't know what it means to do this. So if you teach them, you create the systems, even if you don't know what they are, like if you don't have mastery over some part of it, at least you have some idea of what it should be. So if you say, do these things, then they'll be like, that's what people like us do. And then you can always iterate from there. But people need to be told what to do so they can get the result. They know how to behave and they know how to belong. So that's where the real magic comes in, is turning content into rituals. Because back to the Daraj example, it's not just they don't know what systems to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to turn their songs into money. It's that you're also targeting hip hop artists. So content aside, who else is catering to your audience that specifically? He's like, well, most people are producers. I'm an artist. So it's like, great. Don't talk to producers. They're already like handled by other communities. Talk to artists. That's who you are. That's who they are. But you're not catering to all the genres either. It's just hip hop. So because you're a hip hop artist, handling a certain result for other hip hop artists, there's nowhere else they're going to go. They feel a natural sense of belonging to this community before they even sign up. And then they start learning the systems of what it takes to be one of us. Then they're going to want to keep doing those systems together and having a place like a community to reflect and share and ask questions and post wins. And like we're all rallying towards this thing together. They're not going to want to do it on their own. They're going to drop off. People always fall to their laziest state if they have no accountability, because that's their current identity, trying to pull them back to comfort. The brain is wired for comfort, not change. So that's why we need to give them a new identity and a set of rituals so that they can operate from that new identity, not their current identity. So retention really comes down to rituals, which is really what is it that they need to do to become the person. right? Everyone wants to have $1 million, but they don't know what it takes to be a millionaire, right? So there's systems behind the identity of the thing they want. So that's where the real magic is. Not so much your content. That's a core piece, but that's only 50%. Changing human behavior is the real secret sauce. So that's
So,
us.
I don't know if that's more or less confusing, but in its entirety, you're trying to figure out who we are together, right? So that's really looking at your story, the path that you walked. Generally, if you're a coach or if you have a community of something, then you've figured something out and you have a shortcut to help people get there. This is your shortcut, and this is there. What is there, right? What is it that you're ultimately trying to do? Like, what do you achieve, and who do we become by achieving that, right? You make $1 million, you become a millionaire. And so how do we achieve $1 million and become a millionaire? Well, start to imprint who they are with their millionaire mindset, with their millionaire metrics, with their millionaire whatever it is, right? What do they need to know? What do they need to do? Wrap that up and then make it a continual journey of we do this together. We believe this. This is where we're going. This is what we do to get there. This is what we do every morning. This is what we do every day. This is what we do every week. These are the rituals of who we are so that we get there. So it's really not about the content. The content is just what do they need to know so that they can start doing the things to get there, right? Even like Sago's Ronin community, that's probably our favorite community. It's like, well, 3 coffee dates a week, right? That's what you need to be doing. So of course there's a whole bunch of things to know, but really it just comes down to do your 3 coffee dates this week? Oh, no, that's probably why you don't have those results. And so figure out what it is, the content pillars, what they need to know and do at each stage along the way. And then once you have that, then maybe it's a 30-day thing, maybe it's a 90-day thing, maybe it's an 8-week thing. You just keep, it's cyclical, and you can just keep intensifying it. Maybe there's more nuance on the second round. Maybe there's more intensity on the second and third round, right? That's up to you. But really comes down to what do you got to know, what do you got to do, and collective rituals that we repeat over and over again until they become this thing and get that result. So that is the tribe method. That is how we build our transformation journeys, which is our method, which is how you populate your program, the texts, the videos, all of the nuance of what needs to go in there. And so hopefully that paints a little frame of orientation for what you got to do for yours. And because you spent your life at some point, you have a hero journey that led you to the creation of a certain process. You're great at that. You're the best at that. But what you might not be the best at is changing human behavior in order to get the results you need to grow your business and to grow your community. So that's where it's all about changing human behavior. It comes down to a frame of orientation, which social psychologists really say it's like a group collective. Who are we? Where are we going? A clear picture. And then the mental map to get there so they always know where they are along the journey. And so once they have that, then they have the motivation, the mindset to go forward. In order to keep going forward, instead of just a physical, tangible result, then we also layer in a new identity, like Over 40 Alpha, like Tribe Leader, whatever it is, because we know they need to operate from that new identity in order to take the right actions, because their current identity is trying to stop them from this growth and change. So human behavior comes down to these two things, a frame of orientation and a new identity. And so that's how you can take your genius and help install it into your customers and clients. And if you want our framework for doing that, if you don't have the 27 Tribe Secrets book, then that'll really help you identify who are we and who are you targeting, because it's not just, you can't build a strong community with the wrong customers. And it's not just who can I help, it's who am I to them. Just because you can solve a problem doesn't mean they want you to solve that problem. They need to see themselves in your shoes, because that's how humans are wired. For tribal belonging, we are based on similarity. So the more similarity you can create, the more trust they have that you're the right person to solve this problem, right? And so then it's just about what goes in the middle so you can pull them through to that promised land. And then once you're in this community, then how do we intensify that similarity so that we all look and act the same? Because humans are wired for tribal belonging. So it comes down to similarity and sameness. So a lot of that will be answered. Get the book, 27 Secrets. Each one of those will help you map out all of this, including the last 10 chapters, which is how we're going to intensify this, which we didn't even talk about, but course, once you have this, we like that build once, sell twice model. Build it once, and then it's just continually add some novelty and some significant systems and the things you'll find in the last 10 chapters. But in terms of content, build it once, sell it as many times as you can, and then get them on the sauce. So yeah, get the 27 Tribe Secrets book at tribemethod.com and then start consuming that. And we will see you next week.
That's your tribe tip this week. And remember, it's always sunny when you're making money.
Let's get it.
All right, go build your tribe.